Today we have a segment involving Konstantin Kisin, and he's going to be discussing immigration into the United Kingdom. You know, immigration has been through the roof. It is still through the roof under this Labour government. They've been using robust language like we're going to crack down on the dinghies, we're going to crack down and smash the gangs, and none of that happens. The Conservatives were the same, by the way. I'm not picking and choosing. I'm not being partisan in this. It's literally both of them. The Conservative Party and the Labour Party are guilty of both. So immigration has been at record levels into the United Kingdom, and immigration cannot carry on going in this trajectory. You know, it's going to lead to a huge cultural disruption. It's going to lead to chaos. It's going to lead to problems down the line, and everyone knows this. It's like a ticking time bomb waiting to happen. You can't just have a small island absorb so many people and then more and then more and then more at rates which is just changing. It's changing areas like within a few years. You know, areas that was, you know, I see videos online of areas that were, you know, a lot of English people were living there. And it's just gone, whoom, just like that. Within just a few years, it's just gone. You know, I think every nation benefits from immigration. I've said this many, many times. You know, a lot of nations will benefit, all nations can benefit from immigration, 110%, but it needs to be controlled and it can't be at astronomical levels as in what we're seeing in the United Kingdom. This is just unbearable, and it's leading to problems, it's leading to tensions. You know, I've highlighted it in several videos that I've done previously. So yeah, but anyway, guys, let's see what Konstantin Kisin has to say about immigration. And yeah.
How are 55 or 60,000 people coming to this country illegally on a bar? How is that happening? That's insane. The year I came to Britain, 1996, 55,000 people came here legally. And now we have more people than that coming illegally every year, and we're an island. We literally have water around us. People have to get on a boat to come here. How is it happening? It's insanity. And therefore people will conclude that it's a result of a legal structure or whatever that's causing this thing that should not be happening. No country can have illegal immigration at these levels. It's absurd. It's just absurd. And because that's the position we're in, we're having this debate, and immigration is the deciding issue for a lot of people. I was talking to somebody who is a Lib Dem the other day, and he was talking about how illegal immigration is such a big problem. And it's also true for the Tories and for Reform. And I think for Labour too. It's very high on people's list of concerns. So, you're gonna, if you want to be elected at the next election, you're going to have to be very, very clear about what you're going to do, and very robust on it.
I'd be interested in your views on people's concerns about immigration, and if you like, whether there's a hierarchy in there. How much of it's economic? You know, pressure on our jobs, pressure on our infrastructure. How much of it's we're a small island and we're, you know, we haven't got room, and how much of it's about further, if you like, cultural disruption and weakening of the society?
I think a lot of it is all of those things. I think the cultural disruption thing is the thing that people feel strongest, because I think we live in a very alienating time anyway.
Yes.
We spend so little time connecting with other human beings in the flesh. We spend so much time online that the sense of community is naturally deteriorating anyway. Then increasingly people travel more and settle in countries that are different to the one that they come from quite often. People relocate a lot. So maybe not countries, but you know, someone who grew up in the north of England might be living in London now. That used to be more rare. Now it's very, very common. People move much further away, so they're estranged, not estranged, but they're distanced from family. They see each other more frequently, and so the sense that you know, it's easier to form communities with people who are more like you, culturally and in terms of values, right? So when you have a lot of cultural disruption, when the person who lives next door to you is not someone who you understand very well, and it's maybe a little bit more difficult to make that connection, then I think it's natural that the more and more and more of that happening is not something people particularly welcome. It doesn't mean that we can't adjust to each other over time and get to know our neighbours of a different background and whatever, but I think there's a sense that integration is only possible when the quantity is appropriate, when the number of people coming is manageable. It's like food, you like food, but you wouldn't have 3 meals over the course of an hour because you can't digest all of that. It's the same with, I think, with people coming. I think immigration can be immensely beneficial to a country.
Well, it certainly has been to Australia.
Yeah.
Except to say this, that if you build it too quickly, and if the people coming in don't particularly share, and this is where multiculturalism can end up destroying culture for everyone. Hang on to your core values, because we think, I'm unashamedly say, you want to come here because our country's a great place because our core values have made it so.
Exactly.
Don't undermine them.
Absolutely.
And
so it's a combination of those two things, isn't it?
I mean, that's why I object very strongly, I'm afraid, to people coming here and saying we want Sharia law, for example.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause it once I heard Sharia law. I was definitely going to pause it there because I have something to say. I go so hard on this all the time. People coming to the West and saying, advocating for Sharia law, 110%, that should never ever happen in a million years. You want Sharia law, you know where to go. There's many places administering Sharia law. You don't need to be here if you want Sharia law. You don't need to be here if you want to crack down on people's freedoms to think for themselves and to express themselves, i.e. to hear Ali going in parliament and advocating for blasphemy laws. Absolutely not. If you don't want anyone to criticize Islam, the Middle East is waiting for you. Parts in Asia is waiting for you. But of course you don't want to go back. So it's fine. Be in the United Kingdom, be in the West, but just adhere to the values. That's it. That's all you have to do. Don't push for anything. The same way Hindus, they don't push for nothing. Sikhs don't push for nothing. They come in, they assimilate. All is well. There's no problems. You don't really catch me making videos on Sikhs acting up or Hindus, but with Muslims, we understand what it is. They want to change the culture. You can't come and change the culture in the West. Australian culture is good culture. Understand all Western nations have a history of doing some bad things, as every other nation has. Even African nations, we was involved in some of the most craziest things you would ever imagine, honestly. Every nation has been involved in a lot of madness in the past, and I mean every nation. But people just like to pick and choose and say, okay, we're just gonna, we're gonna call out the Western nations and say they've done some atrocious things. Every nation has done atrocious things. But what I'm saying is the core fundamental principles of the Western nations, that Christian Western value has made it great. And yeah, that's why everyone wants to move to the Western world. And that's just fact. So don't come and change nothing here. If you want to assimilate, come and assimilate. And if you don't want to, then you know where to go. It's just that simple, man. Come to a country, respect the value system, contribute into society. Don't just come and take, and all will be well. But on top of that, we must address immigration as well, because the levels are just way too much as well. And it can't be at this level. Because we're just going to have literally cultural unrest or, even problems later on down the line.
We don't want Sharia law.
No, we don't. And it's not just about that. Sharia law is an extreme example, and it's much easier to point a finger at and say, we don't want people who want a theocratic government in this country. That's not a hard thing to say. A much harder thing to say is, we want the number of people coming to be such that they end up integrating into our society and becoming British, as opposed to staying whatever it is that they were when they first came here. And it doesn't necessarily look like wanting Sharia law. It may be other practices or other things that are not...
Konstantin Kisin, last time I'm going to pause it, they are advocating for Sharia law. Don't downplay this, because best believe if they could have Sharia law tomorrow, they would. So don't downplay the population in this country that's growing that wants Sharia law. Please don't be asleep, wake up.
Compatible with our culture, and they're not just from that particular Muslim community that you're talking about. It could be all sorts of other ones. We need the numbers to be manageable so that everybody can become British over time and dissolve in this pool that we have, instead of becoming a chunk of something in the soup. It's not quite the same thing. I really think people have a duty to integrate fully into culture and to make those racial and ethnic backgrounds irrelevant over time. That's what we should be aiming for. It's to a large extent what they're pursuing in America. They have a different history, and when it comes to the African American population, it's a little bit different. But broadly speaking, that vision that everyone is American and everything else second, that's what we need to have. It's the only way that a multi-ethnic society can work, when everybody wants to become part of that society. And anything that is a barrier to that is a problem for us.
Konstantin Kisin hit the nail on the head with that speech. But I would say don't downplay a minority that is growing in the United Kingdom, in the West, that is growing and are advocating for Sharia law. Never downplay that. They are serious in what they are trying to achieve. And a lot of imams have said publicly, overtly, that we need more Muslim kids to be born in the West. We need to become the majority before we start to change things. So please wake up. Don't fall asleep. I know a lot of African nations that fell asleep. Oh, Islam, no, don't worry. Boom! They grew and then they tried to take over, i.e. Nigeria. I know this very, very well. We're seeing problems as well in Congo, Niger. I know this, just believe me. So it's good to keep an eye out on these things, and everyone needs to assimilate. It's very, very important. So, but anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.